Please be seated. The court is now back in session. We give the floor now to Nuon Chi's defense to put a question to this witness. Nuon Chi's defense, as well as the other two defense teams, we'd like to remind you that the time allocation for the three teams are for this afternoon session only. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. My national colleague has no questions. I have a couple of questions. I don't think it will take more than 20 minutes. But of course, depending on the answers. Mr. Witness, this morning you stated that you could not remember the name of the commander of the unit in which you served in April 1975. Is that correct?
Prior to the liberation of Phnom Penh in 1975, I was attached to a military unit. I could recall the senior commanders, but not my immediate commander. At that time, the commander of regiment was Tamat and Ta Sim. However, later on, I did not meet him or them or know what happened to them.
Do you know what the full or real names were of Tamit and Tasim?
It's been a long time. I cannot recall the full name of Tamat or Tasim. Tasim was at Kosoten, and the other one was in Ksai. They were in command of the military sector 22, but I cannot recall the exact unit number.
Can you recall the number of your own regiment?
No, I cannot. I only knew it was a regiment. It could be regiment 24, but I am not 100% sure.
Thank you very much. Just for my understanding, did that regiment, maybe Regiment 24, was a part of a larger unit, a division, for example? And do you remember, if that is the case, the name or the number of that division?
I can recall it's actually Regiment 52, not 24. That's all I can recall.
And the division? Was there a division? And if so, what was the number of that division?
I cannot recall the number of the division, whether that the regiment was independent or not, or whether it's under any supervision of a brigade or a division.
Thank you. I'm not sure I understood correctly, but did you say that you don't know what happened to the former commanders of the regiment, Tamit and Tasim? Is that correct?
As for Sim, he was transferred to supervise in Kampong Saum. However, I heard about it indirectly. As for Mut, I did not know what happened to him because by then I was in Phnom Penh.
And do you know whether they are still alive?
No, I have no information from them. So I do not know whether they are alive or not.
Thank you very much. Those were my questions for today.
President, thank you. The floor is now given to the defense team for Ian Sari to put questions to this witness. You may proceed.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. Good afternoon, Your Honors, and good afternoon to everyone in and around the courtroom, and good afternoon, sir. Earlier today, you told us that the investigators came to see you 3 or 4 times and that you gave 1 interview. Did I hear you correctly?
Yes, that is correct.
And the interview, based on the summary that we have, took place on December 11, 2007. So that was about 5 years ago.
Yes, that is correct.
Now, as I understand it, during the interviewing process, the interpreter that was there happened to be someone that you were acquainted with, a cadre from your days back in the Khmer Rouge period. Is that correct?
He was an intellectual by the name of Hein Ham Kane. He was a researcher.
But you knew him back then.
I knew him starting in 1983.
Thank you. Now, as from listening to the tape recording, something that is not reflected in the summary, we can hear, along with you being interviewed, the voice of your wife. Do you recall, or do I have it right, that your wife was next to you during the interviewing process?
Yes, that is correct. Because the interview took place in my house.
And just as today, where you had problems with your memory in recalling certain events, we can hear on the tape your wife providing answers or helping you with your answers to the investigators. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
And would it be correct also to say that your summary statement that we have here today is not purely from your memory, but also contains information that was given to you or to the investigators from your wife?
Yes, that is correct. And in this written record of interview, they reflect my statements. I did not fabricate anything, but it's about the truth that I knew. And it was recorded in this written record of interview.
Right, but some of those statements are based on information that your wife was giving you during the interview in refreshing your memory.
Yes, that is correct. Because we had been together and sometimes we discuss a certain event or confirm an event together.
One final question. Had the investigators asked your wife to be in a separate room while you were being interviewed, would that have been a problem with you?
At that time, during the interview, my wife was nearby as the interview was conducted under the house, and my wife was within the vicinity of the house, so we did not hold the interview in a secret place or anything. It was done in open.
Precisely. But had the investigators wanted to interview you separately from your wife, that would have been possible at the time.
President, witness, please wait. Counsel for civil party, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to object to this question since it's hypothetical.
Mr. President, it's hardly hypothetical. The person was there. We're not in Mars. He's over there at his village. Now, unless that is the only place on earth that the wife can stand at the time, certainly the gentleman is perfectly able to answer the question that she could go off to some other house, down the road, in another room. That's the thrust of the question. So it's not hypothetical. It's based on the circumstances of the location in which the interview took place. And the point I'm trying to drive here is that the interview was conducted with two people speaking at the same time, one refreshing the other one's memory, which is now the basis of a summary, none of which of all of this is reflected in the summary. And of course, the purpose of all of this is to assist you in the weight to give to this witness's testimony. Now, whether as a result also it points to the continuing irregularities of the investigation, that's a different matter, and we're not seeking nullification.
President, the objection is ground is not valid. Witness, you are instructed to respond to the question, as this is going to give the credibility or otherwise to your previous interview with the investigators of the Office of the Co-Investigating Judges. Witness, at that time when I was interviewed, I responded clearly to the question, and let me now respond to the counsel's question. At that time, there were researchers, including Hei Ham Kane, and there was a female companion. They put questions to me, and I responded to them. And at that time, my wife was also under the house because I have no secrets to keep from my wife. She's my wife. And sometimes she spoke because she had some knowledge, and that was the truth. I gave my statement to the investigators of the Office of the Co-Investigating Judges, and it was done in open together with my wife.
Thank you, sir. And just one final question. Before this particular interview, were you ever asked questions before by these investigators or any other investigators? Or was this the only time where you actually were asked questions and provided answers?
That was the first time that I was interviewed by the researcher Heng Ham Kane.
Based on that, let me ask one follow-up. Was that the only time then that you were interviewed by the Office of the Co-Investigative Judges?
Yes, that was the only time, and it was done by Heng Ham Kane.
Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate you coming here to give your evidence. On behalf of Mr. Ingsari, Mr. Angodam, and I would like to thank you and wish you good luck and safe travels.
President, thank you, Counsel. The floor is now given to Khieu Samporn's defense to put questions to this witness. You may proceed. Kung Samporn, thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, Your Honors. Mr. Witness, I have some questions for you. First, I'd like to ask you regarding your role while you worked at K-12. You said you were a repairman for the truck. The question is the following. Within your group of 30 people, were they all repairmen, or were some of them workers working in different groups or teams? Response. In Unit K-12, in particular for my section, that is for the truck section, we had repairmen and drivers. Question. Can you tell us how many men were drivers and how many were repairmen? Response. As I said earlier, I cannot recall it. It's almost 40 years. We can say that there were more than 10 people in one group. Thank you. Question. What year did you start working at K-12? Response. Before 17 April 1975 liberation, I was assigned to live in Phnom Penh. There were about 40 of us. 10 were the repairmen and 30 were drivers. As for the exact date, I cannot recall, but as for the year, we entered Phnom Penh a little bit after the liberation. Could be the 23rd, the 22nd or the 23rd of April. Thank you. Question. When was K-12 established? Was it established before 1975 or after your arrival in Phnom Penh? Response. In fact, Unit K-12 was or had been established as there were repairment already. We were the supplementary forces to the existing forces there. Question. You stated before this court that Mr. Mill was your supervisor. Is that correct? Response. Yes. Because K-12 was supervised by Mill. Thank you. Question. Can you tell us the superior of Mill? Response. Yes. Above Mill was Pong. Thank you. Question. How well did you know Pong? If so, since when? And what was your relationship with him? Response. I knew Pong as above K-12 office because he came to contact and communicate with Mr. Mill, who was supervisor of K-12. Thank you. Question. You also stated that you did not know as 71. Are you still standing by this statement? Response. At that time, I did not know as 11, says the witness. Counsel interrupt. It's as 71, not as 11. Could you please wait until you see the red light so that your voice will go through the system? Response. Let me repeat. I never heard of S71. And that is the truth. Because I knew nothing or had nothing to do with that. Question. This morning you said some staff from K-12 were removed to repair the railway or to work the rice fields. How did you know that? Response. Because I knew as people were removed, so they were removed to work elsewhere to the west of Po Tong there. And I heard people talking about that. That's how I came to that conclusion. Thank you. Question. So, you heard it through other people and there was no official announcement about that, right? Response. That is correct. I heard through my other colleagues there was no official announcement. Thank you. Question. Regarding political study session, as you informed the chamber this morning, you participate on a number of occasions, both at Boragila and the Technical Institute. Can you confirm within your working group composed of 30 people, as you stated, how many of them attended the study sessions with you? Response. What I can say is that I cannot recall the names of those individuals. It's been so long already. But yes, some of us went to study there and we took turn, but I simply cannot recall the names. Thank you. Question. At the study venue, besides your group, were there other groups participating in the study sessions? Response. When the study session was opened, sometimes the units under the K offices will be sent there. Maybe 5 or 10 per each office will be sent to attend the study sessions. Question. Can you confirm, besides your group, those attendees, what were they, or what were their status? Response. Regarding the political study sessions, it varied. Sometimes there were cadres, and sometimes the study sessions would be specifically for combatants or specifically for cadres, or sometimes it was a mixture of the cadres and the combatants. Thank you. Question. In regards to Mr. Kirsampon, that you attended a study session with him, where was that study session held? Response. I attended the study session, and Kirsampon rarely gave instructions at the study session. Mostly it was by Mr. Noon Chia. I cannot recall it clearly whether it was held at K6 or at the Soviet Technical Institute, but anyhow, I attended a political study sessions conducted by him.
Counsel. Thank you. Can you also be more specific when you said Mr. Kirsampon rarely gave lectures during the sessions? What do you mean by that? Response. I was saying that when I attended the study sessions, I met him only on one occasion, and on the other occasion it was Noon Chia who chaired the sessions. Counsel. Thank you. Could you also tell the chamber when you got to know Mr. Kirsampon? Tell the court the first time you met with Kirsampon. Response. I came to know him, as indicated this morning, when he paid a visit to his children. I saw him from a distance, and people called him Uncle Ham, although his real name is Kirsampon. That's what I learned from others as well, and I got to know him in the K-12 office. Question. So the first time you saw Kirsampon from distance was at K12. Is that correct? Response: Yes, it is. Question: Can you please tell the chamber who told you that the person who was walking into the room was Mr. Kilsampon? Response: The person who told me was the person who had been working at the unit quite some time. Question: Did you know the person's name? Response: No, I don't remember his name. It's been a long time ago. Question: This morning you testified before the chamber that when Mr. Kilsampong went to K12 office to pay a visit to his children, he went there by car. Is that correct? Response: Yes, it is. I only saw him on one occasion. Question: So is it fair to say that you only saw Mr. Kilsampon on one occasion at K12? Response: Yes, it is. Question: Can you please tell the chamber as well, how did Kilsampon go to that place? Response: Kilsampon was seen in the car. He was driven by his driver. Normally during that time, uncles would never drive the cars. Question: As a mechanic, you could find it easy to identify the vehicle. Can you tell the chamber what kind of vehicle Mr. Kilsampon was in at that time? Response: At that time, I did not pay great attention to which vehicle he was in, but I know for sure that Mr. Kilsampon was not a kind of fussy person who cared so much about what kind of vehicle he would choose to take. Question: So, is it my understanding that you have no idea what kind of car Mr. Kilsampon was in? Response: Yes, it is. I don't remember exactly what kind of vehicle it was. Question: Now, can you tell the court, please, about Mr. Kilsampon's children? Were they were his sons or daughters? And what were they doing at that place at that time? Response: His children were very young. They were about 4 years old, and they were taken care of by some nannies. Question: I was asking about Mr. Kilsampon's children. Were they sons or daughters? And were they placed in that location to be under the care of their nannies, or were they placed at the nursery school? Response. At that time, I worked in the office, but I did not go close to inspect the children. I knew that they were well taken care of by some nannies, but I did not pay greater attention to know whether they were boys or girls. Question. Was the location for the care of Khieu Samphan children, or other children were also placed there to be taken care of? Response. At that place, there were some other children as well, not just Khieu Samphan's children. Counsel. Thank you. In your statement concerning Office 870, you used the term 870 office or Office 870, Unit 870, 870 Ministry. Now, can you tell the chamber to what extent you are clear about your understanding of these terms? Response. Office 870 was one of the top offices under the central office, the office that supervised other K offices. For example, among them, K-12 was also under the supervision of that central office. Counsel, thank you. With regard to 870 or Office 870 as you claimed, where was it? Response. I never been there. I have heard of the unit. I have heard of the unit that was on top of K-12, and I only heard or recognized the name, the code name of the unit. That's all. I never been there. Counsel, thank you. Question. Do you know who were the leaders of 870? Response. I was not sure at that time, but the supreme leaders at that time were these uncles. No other people could have been in those positions. And apart from them, Mr. Pang was also in charge. Question. Were you saying this based on your personal observation, or you said so because you have information to support your claim? Response. It is my personal observation because the supreme leaders were no one else other than these uncles, and then below them was Pang. And again, it is my pure personal observation. Counsel, thank you. Did you have any contact with Office 870? Indeed, you said you never been there at 870, but what made you believe that 870 could have been led by a group of people, so on and so forth? Response. The reason I knew that 870 office was supervising K-12 because I was told by my superior who was the head of K-12. That's all I know. Counsel, thank you. Are you saying that your superior told you about this? Is your superior Mr. Mill? Response. Yes, Mr. Mill was the director of K-12, and K-12 was under direct supervision of 870. Counsel, thank you. In your statements, indeed the interviews conducted at your home, questions were already put to you, but I still have a few questions for some clarification. At the beginning, the President posed some questions to you concerning how many times you were interviewed. And you said you were interviewed on several occasions. You said that first you had to sign on a piece of document, and later on you were interviewed again and again. Could you tell the chamber who were the interviewers during these times? Response. Yes, I was interviewed on several occasions. First, Mr. Heng Ham King came to interview me to collect some information from me, and then people at the court, at this tribunal, came to me on other two occasions, including the date when I was taken to the court. Question. You said that you were interviewed on two occasions, including the date the time when you were taken to the court. Was it the time that you were taken to this court today? I mean, before you came to this court today? Response. Let me clarify this. First, he came to interview me, and secondly, he came to ask me whether I could avail myself to come to the court, and then on another occasion, I was taken by car to the court. Counsel. Thank you, Mr. Witness. Thank you, Mr. President. I have no further questions, and I thank you, Mr. Witness, very much for answering my questions. The President, thank you. The President. Mr. Chiasai, the sessions of your testimony come to an end. You are now excused. You can feel free to go back to your residential area, and the Chamber wishes to thank you very much indeed for your time during the whole day of your testimony. We appreciate your patience and your efforts in giving these testimonies, and they will be part of the process of ascertaining the truth. May we wish you safe travel home. Court officers are now instructed to ensure that Mr. Witness is well assisted and make sure that he is returned home safe and sound. Mr. Chiasai, you may feel free to leave the room along with your jury counsel. The President continues. It is now appropriate time for the day adjournment since the Chamber has concluded the testimonies of Mr. Chiasai. Indeed, the session was concluded earlier than anticipated. The Chamber wishes to inform the parties and the public that tomorrow there will be 2 separate hearings. These hearings are not on evidentiary on evidence, but the first hearing is on the testimonies of 2 doctors of Khmer Soviet Friendship Hospital, the treating doctors of Mr. Ieng Sari. Because Mr. Ieng Sari had been admitted to the hospital since Friday last week. The doctors will be here to tell the Chamber on the medical condition of the accused. Indeed, the Chamber wishes to know the update on the medical condition of Mr. Ieng Sari. The Chamber wishes to know whether he is able to participate in the proceedings or not, and whether it is possible for him also to observe the proceedings through remote participation or else. And we really would like to hear from the doctors on this. And on another hearing, the Chamber will be discussing on the during this next hearing, we also will be discussing on the hearing to be conducted concerning Mr. Philip Short's document E172 rather, and during such hearing, the Chamber wishes to hear oral submissions from parties to the proceeding. During tomorrow's sessions, there will be no sessions on evidence. That's why the Chamber wishes to ask questions to counsel for Mr. Nunchi and Kyu Sampon to see whether they wish to participate in the proceedings or not, because the chamber feels that they are, or the sessions are not relevant to them. However, it would be good if counsels could advise the chamber as to whether their clients would like to participate in the proceedings or not.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I haven't discussed this with my client yet, but I will definitely be here. I understand it doesn't really concern our client directly, but the right to be present at trial and to be trialed in your presence is something that, of course, concerns our client as well. So we will maybe not be here in the morning when you will be hearing the experts or the medical experts, but we would like to attend the follow-up hearing about the hearing of the expert witness. Maybe you can give an indication of when it will start so that we can be here.
President Michael Passman, what is the latest issue you raised? Could you raise it again, please? The Chamber actually informed the parties via email of the senior legal officers of the trial chamber. We just reiterate the point regarding the proceeding. Usually the proceeding will commence at 9 a.m. and the matters are not directly related to your client, and if he wishes to do so, you need to let us know so that the chamber can instruct the detention staff to bring him to the courtroom. If he wishes to waive his rights to presence, please you have to submit the letter of waiver so that it's easier for the trial chamber to manage, and we do not need to instruct the detention staff to bring your client here. As the hearing tomorrow is in regards to the procedure and the proceeding for the hearing of the expert witnesses and the civil parties.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Sorry, I was just informed that my client will waive his right to be present tomorrow, but I will be here tomorrow morning just in case the medical experts will be ready very quickly. I'll be here just to attend the hearing, the initial hearing, and then I would like to participate in the debate on the right of an accused to be present during his or her trial.
Thank you, Counsel. Now, Counsel for Khieu Sampon. Kong Samon. Thank you, Mr. President, Your Honors. Mr. Khieu Sampon does not intend to participate in tomorrow's hearing. However, I and my team will participate in the proceeding to hear the proceeding and its related principle. Thank you. President, it is clear in the instruction that tomorrow there will be 2 separate hearings, and the chamber invites the parties to participate. What the trial chamber wishes to inquire is regarding the participation of the accused, so that we can take necessary steps or give necessary instructions to the detention facility, or if they decide to waive their presence, then the relevant counsel needs to submit the letter of waiver to the trial chamber. And of course, we invite them to attend the 2 hearings. And thank you for the information that you have given to the chamber. The proceeding today comes to an adjournment, and we shall resume tomorrow morning, that is Friday, starting from 9 a.m. Security guards are instructed to take the 2 accused back to the detention facility and have them return to the courtroom. On the morning, that is Tuesday, or the 25th September 2012, before 9 a.m. The hearing is now adjourned.
សូមអញ្ជើញក្រោកឈរ